Next on ITV, Paul Lally tells favorite folk tales and legends on Teletales.
Your education station, WSKG-TV, Binghamton.
The following is from the Agency for Instructional Technology, AIT.
Let's go imagining together to a place so old it's always new. We'll tell a tale, my friends, to you, and share a smile before we're through, and share a smile before we're through. Bum 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 bum.
How many of you know what a boomerang is? Well, it's that curved piece of wood, and you throw it out, and it tumbles end over end in a big wide circle and comes right back to you. They're really a lot of fun to play with. Well, words are a lot like boomerangs. I mean, you send them out, and eventually they'll come right back to you. If you say something kind about somebody, eventually somebody will say something kind about you. But if you do something unkind or say something unkind, well, you can expect that unkindness to come right back to you. Well, today's story is about a good, kind boy named Jim who got upset one day at a grouchy, strange old person and said some things he shouldn't have said. This is the story of Longnose. Long ago in Germany, there lived a farmer and his wife. They were good, hard-working people. They had one son, Jim, who was a handsome boy of 12 and was very kind and obedient to his parents. Every day, Jim and his mother went to the market to sell good things from their gardens: herbs, cabbages, and early pears, apples, and plums. But one day, an old woman shuffled over to their vegetable stand. She was small and sharp and wrinkled. Her nose hooked down and almost touched her chin. She reached out with her dirty gray hand and began turning over the herbs which had been neatly laid out in a flat basket. One by one, she stuck them under her nose and sniffed them. Each one she threw back into the basket with a grunt.
Bad stuff, bad stuff. Much better 50 years ago.
Jim became upset. Now look here, old woman. First you mess up all the herbs so that no one else will want to buy them. Then you stick them under your ugly nose and say they're no good. Just please buy something or go away.
So, you don't like my nose? Be very careful that you don't have one just like it someday.
And with that, she began rolling over the cabbage heads.
Bad stuff, bad stuff. Better cabbages 50 years ago.
She wagged her head from side to side and glared at Jim and his mother.
Don't you have anything fresh?
Now listen here, old woman. Now don't wag your old head at us. It might fall off your skinny neck. Those cabbages came fresh from the garden this morning. Now either buy something or leave.
So, you don't like my neck, eh? Be very careful that you don't end up someday with no neck at all.
She looked at the cabbages again.
Now I'll take 6 of these sorry cabbages. But as you can see, I am a feeble old woman. You will have to carry them home for me.
They walked until they came to a broken-down little cottage, all covered with vines and weeds. The old woman took Jim to the kitchen, where she said,
I will give you something for your trouble, young man. I dare say you are hungry. All boys are hungry.
From a big black pot on the stove, she poured Jim a bowl of steaming soup. It smelled delicious.
You won't find soup this good anywhere else in the whole world.
She was right. The soup had a wonderful taste. It didn't take Jim long to finish the bowl. Suddenly, Jim's eyes felt strange. He couldn't focus them. His eyelids became heavy. He seemed to float as a long dream began to unfold. He was in the same kitchen, but everything was moving. Pots and pans and huge spoons and ladles. Cabbages of all sizes and colors, all swirled about his head. A blue cabbage banged him on the nose. Then a heavy ladle banged him on the head. Suddenly, everything in the kitchen attacked him, hitting him on the nose and striking him on the top of his head. A horrible nightmare. Jim awoke, shaking. He was still sitting at the old woman's table. He slowly raised his head. The old woman was nowhere about. He left the old woman's house and started back to his mother in the market. As Jim came to the market, he saw many strange people, all of whom laughed when they took a look at him. Jim was puzzled. He searched for his mother. Strange, everything in the market had changed. It was as if he'd never been there before. Finally, he thought he recognized a woman sleeping at a table. It was his mother, only she was older. He ran to her and touched her shoulder. "Mother?" The woman woke up with a start and looked up, and then she screamed, "Get away! Get away!" "But, Mother, don't you recognize me?" "Don't call me Mother! I never gave birth to any monster! I had a pretty little boy once, but no monster!" Jim was confused. He couldn't understand. He wasn't a monster. "But I'm Jim, Mother, your pretty little boy, Jim." "Your name might be the same, but you're no son of mine. My boy disappeared 7 years ago. He'd be a man by now. Please, go away." Dazed, Jim realized that something must be terribly wrong. Had he really been gone 7 years? Had his looks changed? He left the woman and ran to the market well. When he looked at his reflection, he gasped. His nose and his neck. He had no neck at all. The old woman had done this to him. She had made him a monster. He rushed from the market to find her, but when he got to the place where her house should have been, there was nothing there. Nothing but vines and weeds. Jim sat down beside the road and wept. His life was in ruins. Sometime later, an old man came along and sat down beside him.
"A good day to you, me boy. I bet you be the Duke's jester."
"Jester?"
"Aye, you make the Duke laugh with your melon nose and your turtleneck."
"No, my name's Jim."
"Well, you ought to be a jester. If I was you, I'd apply for the job."
Well, some strange remembrances began coming back to Jim. Something from his dream. The kitchen. The pots and pans and spoons and ladles. That was it. He had been the witch's cook. Now he remembered. For 7 years, he had prepared food for the witch. He could do something. He could cook. Without saying goodbye to the old man, Jim jumped up and ran to the Duke's castle. He found his way to the kitchen door. It was a Dutch door, and it was half open. A scullery boy was leaning out the top. He immediately began to laugh.
"Are you the Duke's new jester?"
"No, sir, I've come to apply for a position in the kitchen."
"Oh, but the Duke already has a cook. You'd better do to get yourself some bells and a banjo. With that nose, you'd be a perfect clown."
"But I'm a good cook. I know I could please the Duke with my dishes."
"Well, you have to talk to the chief cook. Hey, Cleco, come to the door. There's a sight here you've got to see. There's a nose with a boy on it."
Presently, a large man with a stern face came to the door. He looked at Jim.
Tut, I dare say life has not been easy for you, Long Nose.
"No, sir, but I'm an excellent cook. Please give me a chance. I'll prove my worth in your kitchen." Cleco looked earnestly at the poor boy.
This kitchen is not a happy place. We live in fear of the Duke. When he is displeased with the food, he has us beaten. You don't want to work here.
"Oh, yes, I do. I know I can please the Duke. I know secret recipes." Cleco bade the boy enter.
You seem sincere, Long Nose. I'll give you a try. Do you know how to make marrow pudding?
"Yes, I've prepared it many times."
Good. That's what the Duke has ordered for dinner. I have started the pudding. Come, have a look.
Jim went with Cleco to the big stove. He stood on a chair and leaned over the pot. "Are you using the spice laurel root?"
Laurel root in marrow pudding?
"Oh, yes. It greatly improves the flavor." Cleco handed Jim the laurel root, and Jim sprinkled a bit on the pudding and stirred it in. "There, now, taste the pudding." He gave the spoon to Cleco.
This is good. I would have never thought of it.
Cleco was pleased.
You have the job, Long Nose.
So for many days, Jim, now called Long Nose, cooked all the Duke's meals. Each meal was a success, and eventually the Duke called for the cook who'd been preparing his food. Jim was nervous as he stood before the Duke.
So you're the cook who can work miracles. Well, I hope that this is true, because tonight I shall challenge all of your talents. Can you prepare a Serbian goose?
Yes, sir, I can. For the first time in his life, Jim lied. He had never heard of Serbian goose.
Good, but I warn you, I do not like to be disappointed. The prince is my dinner guest tonight. He is very particular. If it is not perfect, I shall have you whipped.
Poor Jim. Well, first, he'd need a goose. He'd go to the market to buy one, and on the way back, try to figure out what to do next. At the market, while he was looking over the geese, one goose stared at him with a peculiar expression, a sad, searching look. "Please," whispered the goose, "buy me. Take me away from here." "You spoke." "Yes, I am not a goose. I am Mary, the miller's daughter. A witch has turned me into a goose. 7 years ago, an old woman came to our mill. She bought a bag of flour and asked me to carry it to her house. Then she fed me some soup, and I fell asleep. When I awoke, I was her servant. I worked for her for 7 years. One night, I followed her into the forest to see what she did there. She caught me watching her, and she flew into a rage and turned me into a goose. But she forgot to clip my wings. I escaped and joined these other geese so that she could not tell me from the rest." "Then you worked for the same old witch? I was her cook. If only we knew where she gets her power," the goose thought. "All I know is that she always went into the forest on nights of the full moon. She goes to where the chestnut trees grow beside the lake. Tonight there'll be a full moon. Perhaps she'll be there. We must go there and see what she does." So Jim bought the goose. Then together they went into the forest. The chestnut trees grew beside a dark lake, overgrown with eelgrass and rushes. Jim and the goose hid in the rushes and waited. Around midnight, they heard a sound, a twig snapping. She was near. Then into a clearing beneath the biggest chestnut tree stepped the witch. She moved slowly and feebly. She raised both arms to the moon and began chanting,
"Oh, pale sister, my light is out. My powers wane. Give your special gift again. Bring the flower petal snow. Make the magic mushrooms grow. Make the magic mushrooms grow."
Jim watched as flower petals began to fall from the sky. They began to cover the ground like snow. When they stopped falling, mushrooms started popping out until the witch was encircled by a ring of them. The witch picked one. Jim knew he had to act fast, and before the witch could raise the mushroom to her mouth, he dashed from his hiding place. He hit the witch from behind. She fell forward, and the moment she touched the ground, there was a flash of lightning. It struck her, and she disappeared. Not one speck of her remained. The mushrooms were still there, so Jim picked one and ate it. And then he felt his neck cracking and stretching. He touched his face. His nose was shrinking. Before long, he had turned back into Jim the handsome man. And then he looked for the goose, but before his eyes was the miller's daughter, Mary, kind and beautiful. A few days later, they were married. Jim's parents wept with joy, and so did Mary's parents. There was a huge wedding feast. Even the Duke was invited. But he would not attend. He sat fuming at his empty dinner table, waiting for Longnose. But Longnose had disappeared with a goose. He was never seen again. Jim and Mary waited till the Duke was long dead and gone before they told the true story, which you have heard just now.
Next on ITV, Paul Lally tells favorite folktales and legends on Teletales.
Your education station, WSKG-TV, Binghamton.
Let's go imagining together to a place so old it's always new. We'll tell a tale, my friends, to you, and share a smile before we're through. And share a smile before we're through. Bum, 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 bum.
How many of you have favorite photographs? It might be a picture of a famous singer, or maybe your best friend, or maybe it's just a little photo of a pet. Well, a long time ago, if you wanted a picture of somebody, you'd have to ask a painter to paint the picture for you. And that was called a portrait. Now, today, Ray is painting a portrait of a woman named Bianchinetta.
Yes. Isn't she beautiful?
Very pretty. Well, Ray, when you paint a portrait, do you just copy what you see? Is that what it is? Or?
Well, that's part of it. But when a photographer or a painter does a portrait, they want to do more than that. They want to give you an idea of what that person is like inside, too, their character. And that's what I try to do when I paint a portrait.
Well, today's story is about a man who fell in love with a beautiful, gentle woman he saw in a portrait. And in his search to find her, he was tricked by an evil person. But the love of that portrait was there all the time to help him. This is the story of Bianchinetta.
There was once a lady who had 2 children, a son named Orazio and a daughter named Bianchinetta. They lived in a large island near Italy and were quite happy until one day when bad news arrived. All their money which their father left them when he died had been spent. It was all gone. Orazio, who was 18 at the time, told his mother and his sister that he would go out and find a job. He would send them money once a week and they would never be hungry. Orazio sailed to the mainland and went around the countryside until he found a young prince. The prince needed a valet, someone who would take care of his clothes and personal belongings. The prince was very pleased with Orazio. Orazio worked hard and saw to it that the prince was always comfortable. The prince led Orazio into a large, beautiful room. This was my parents' room when they were alive. They loved beautiful things, especially paintings. You see, they had very many paintings. Come, I want to show you a very special one. The prince led Orazio to an easel by one window. On the easel, there was a portrait of a beautiful girl. Orazio caught his breath. The painting was of Bianchinetta, his very own sister. The prince was exclaiming, "Isn't she beautiful? If only I knew who she is." My father's painter would never tell me her name, and now, like my father, he is dead. I shall never know who she is, and I am deeply in love with her. I know who she is. Orazio, tell me. She's my sister, Bianchinetta. I don't know how or when your father's painter found my sister, but there is no mistake. That is Bianchinetta. Oh, please, Orazio, I must meet her. Tell me that she's not promised to someone else. She is promised to no one. She lives with my mother. If you gave me money, I could send her a ticket for the ship which sails each week. Agreed. I shall give you all you need and more. Oh, to think that at long last I shall meet the lady who has captured my heart. When Bianchinetta received Orazio's letter and the ticket, she was overjoyed. She ran to tell her mother. For 3 days, Bianchinetta and her mother washed and mended and polished until Bianchinetta's wardrobe looked fine indeed. Bianchinetta's mother gave her a precious locket to wear on the voyage. This will be your good luck charm, for it belonged to your great-grandmother who married a prince. Perhaps you will too. Bianchinetta sailed the following day. There were many people on the ship, and everyone delighted in Bianchinetta's charm and her friendliness. There was one woman named Shamina who was very friendly toward Bianchinetta. She wanted to know all about Bianchinetta, her mother, her brother, her home, her village. She listened intently as Bianchinetta explained about the prince and the painting. Shamina smiled with her lips. but her eyes remained cold and distant. You are such a lucky girl, Bianchinetta. These wonderful things do not happen to many people. Oh, I know you're going to have a rich and full life as a princess. Now, tell me all about the locket. It is so beautiful. Bianchinetta removed the locket and opened it to show Shamina the pictures of her great-grandparents. Suddenly, Shamina grabbed the locket, and at the same time, she gave Bianchinetta a mighty push backward. Over the rail went poor Bianchinetta into the sea. Shamina laughed cruelly. Ah, you fool! Didn't your mother tell you never to talk to strangers? Shamina went to the cabin which held all of poor Bianchinetta's things. She put on Bianchinetta's clothes and then slipped the locket around her neck. She wrapped a turban around her hair and then put on a dark veil over her face. No one could tell exactly who she was. When the ship put into port, she recognized Orazio immediately from Bianchinetta's description. She rushed to him and took his hand. Oh, Orazio, how good to see you again. Mother sends you a kiss, but I cannot deliver it right now. I got terribly sunburned on the voyage, and I'm afraid my face is not at its best. I hope the prince will understand. She sounded so much like his sister that Orazio was fooled. The prince is eagerly awaiting our arrival. Come quickly. I have a coach. The servants will bring your trunks later. When Orazio presented his sister to the prince, she was as polite and as charming as the real Bianchinetta would have been. She apologized for wearing the veil and promised that she would soon no longer need it. Well, the prince was disappointed, but he was still happy she was there. My dear Bianchinetta, I know you are tired and sore from the windy voyage. I have prepared a room for you. I hope you like it. Shamina was taken to her room. Once alone there, she took off her veil, let down her hair, and began preparing a poison which she planned to give to the prince and Orazio at dinner in their wine. With them dead, she would claim the castle, the whole kingdom, saying she was the prince's widow. Before going to bed, Orazio went over by the window to have a look at the lovely painting of Bianchinetta. As he drew near, he thought he heard a voice. Could it be coming from the painting? He leaned closer. It was a voice, Bianchinetta's voice. It spoke in a whisper. She is not Bianchinetta. She is a murderer. I am Bianchinetta. I am in the sea. I am alive. Trust not the one who says she is Bianchinetta. She is Shamina, a murderer. That night at dinner, Shamina insisted on pouring the wine. Orazio watched her carefully. He noticed a quick movement she made with her left hand. It only lasted a fraction of a second, but it was there. She had put something in the wine. Oh, she was too charming as she handed the wine glasses to the prince and Orazio. A toast, she said, to the three of us. The prince lifted his glass to drink. Orazio thought fast. Suddenly, he threw his arm up as if to make a second toast. His hand knocked the glass from the prince, spilling the wine. Oh, my prince, I'm so clumsy. Please forgive me. I only wanted to toast my lovely sister and insist that she be the first to taste the wine. Oh, but brother Orazio, you know I don't drink wine. Excuse me, said the prince, but I must go and get a fresh shirt. I shall be but a moment. Then we can toast all over again. No harm done. When the prince left the room, Orazio turned a cold and searching eye to the woman across the table. Who are you? Oh, don't be silly, Orazio. I'm your sister. Suddenly, Orazio grabbed her veil and ripped it away. You are not Bianchinetta. You are a murderer. Here, drink this wine. I command you. No, I will not. Because it's poisoned, isn't it? You have no proof. When the prince returned, the two were shouting at each other. Now, what's the matter here? Brother and sister fighting? And then he noticed that the woman was not Bianchinetta. Who are you? Orazio turned to the prince. My prince, please lock this woman away. She tried to murder my sister. She would have poisoned you and me. The portrait spoke to me, warned me against this impostor. Lock her away, and I shall go to the sea and find my poor Bianchinetta. So the prince locked Shamina in the tower. Orazio went to the seashore, where he stood for long hours calling the name, Bianchinetta! Bianchinetta! On the third day, as Orazio was about to give up, Bianchinetta appeared. Dear Orazio, I am here. Orazio, filled with joy. Bianchinetta, it's really you. Oh, wonderful day. Oh, how I have grieved for you. Come, we must go at once to the prince. Oh, Orazio, I cannot. I am the prisoner of a sea monster. He has put a heavy chain on me. It would take a sword with the power of 100 swords to cut the chain, and a horse that is not a horse to free me from the monster. Whatever it takes, I shall free you from the monster. I shall be back tomorrow. Orazio rushed to the prince. Bianchinetta is alive, but she is chained to a sea monster. It will take a sword that cuts like 100, and a horse that is not a horse. Well, such a sword might be possible, for in my father's name a sword was made on the day of my birth. With it, he was to protect me. Now it is mine. It is said to have a power of its own. Take it, Orazio. As to the horse which is not a horse, that is a riddle I don't understand. I think I understand, said Orazio. I only hope I am right. With that, Orazio took the sword and returned the next day to the seashore. He did not call Bianchinetta, but went directly into the water. The weight of the sword took him down to the very bottom of the sea. Strange creatures swam about him. The deeper he went, the stranger were the creatures. Then the one he had hoped to see was there, a seahorse, large and powerful. He mounted the seahorse, and they were off to find Bianchinetta. How they sped through the water. Eventually, they came to an underwater castle. There, by the entrance, sat Bianchinetta with the chain around her. Orazio wasted no time. He raised the sword above his head, and with all his power, he brought it down upon the chain. The marvelous sword did cut like 100, and the chain broke. Quickly, Orazio grabbed his sister and lifted her upon the seahorse's back. Off they swam, and none too soon, for the monster heard the chain break and came immediately. Oh, how horrible it was. All tentacles and eyes, its terrible jaws snapping, its voice a watery growl. With one tentacle, it reached for Bianchinetta. Orazio chopped at it with his sword. And suddenly there was another, and then another. As they raced through the sea, the monster was just behind, reaching and snarling. Orazio kept on slashing with his sword. As one tentacle was chopped off, it seemed like two more grew immediately in its place. Suddenly, they broke through the sea's surface into the sunlight. As the sunlight struck the monster's eyes, it screamed in pain, for it could not stand the light of day. Orazio and Bianchinetta were free. They watched the monster fall back into the darkness below the surface. Soon the seahorse brought them ashore. Orazio thanked the seahorse and gave him candy and a loving pat on the muzzle. Then they were off to see the prince. Never had the prince been so happy. He and Bianchinetta fell in love. Shamina was taken from the tower and thrown to the sea monster. She was never heard from again. After the prince and Bianchinetta were married, he found a painter who added a portrait of the prince to the portrait of Bianchinetta. And for many long years, that is how they remained, happy and together.
On ITV, Paul Lally tells favorite folk tales and legends on Teletales.
Your education station, WSKG TV, Binghamton.
Let's go imagining together to a place so old it's always new. We'll tell a tale, my friends, to you, and share a smile before we're through, and share a smile before we're through. Bum, 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 bum.
Today's story is about being tricked. I mean, you know what that feels like, right? Well, when I was a little boy, my brother Ed and I used to race all the time. Ed's idea of racing would be to go out and take all these little shortcuts there, and he'd always win. He always tricked me. Now, tricking somebody is never fair, and being tricked is never any fun. But sometimes, if you've been tricked, you can turn that trick around to your own advantage. Like in today's story, it's called The Sorcerer's Boy. Now, long ago, in a village in Russia, there lived a poor widow who had a son named Peter.
Now, the widow had very little money and could not afford to keep her son at home, so she went looking for someone to take him as an apprentice. Apprentices often lived with master craftsmen, where they learned a trade, and the widow hoped that Peter could learn to become a silversmith or a tailor, or even a miller, if only someone would take him in and train him. She went from town to town, but all the master craftsmen already had their apprentices and could not take on another boy. Tired and weary, the widow and Peter were making their way home when they met a striking gentleman on the road. He had a certain smile and a look about his eyes. "Good afternoon." "And a good afternoon to you, kind sir," Peter's mother said, taking Peter's hand. "And where might you be going?" "Sad to say, we are going home. For many days I have been looking for some master to take my boy Peter here as an apprentice. I have so little money, I cannot afford to raise him myself. He's a bright and capable boy who deserves a good home and a chance to learn a trade." "How old are you, my son?" The man spoke softly and gently. "I am a teacher. I always have room for one more pupil." "Peter is almost 12 years old. He learns very quickly. He works hard, don't you, Peter?" "Well, I hope he is all you say he is, for I shall give him a try. I shall take him for 3 years. If he is a good student, you might not recognize him in 3 years. And now, Peter, if you are ready, we can begin right away. Good day, madam. Meet me here in 3 years. I shall have Peter with me, and we shall see what we shall see." Peter left with the gentleman, and the widow turned slowly and began making her way home. She was lonely without Peter, but at the same time, she was happy for him. The widow counted the lonely days as 3 years passed. Finally, the last day of the 3rd year passed, and the widow set off down the road to meet Peter and his master. When she arrived at the spot, she saw only the gentleman. "Where is my boy, Peter?" The man looked at her with a strange smile. "He's here." "Is he hiding?" "No, he's very near you this instant. You see, Peter is now changed. If you can recognize him among all the others, you may have him back." "You are crazy! What have you done to my son? Where is he?" "I told you, he's right before your eyes." On the ground near her sat several brown toads. At that moment, one of them hopped upon the widow's foot. "Oh, shoo, go away!" "Stupid woman, you cannot recognize your own son. That was Peter who landed on your foot, and you shooed him away. Shame on you, for you shall not see him again for another 3 years. You see all of the little toadies? They are also boys whose mothers did not know them. Now they are mine forever. If in 3 more years you still do not know your own son, he will also become mine forever. Now go home and work at being a little smarter the next time we meet. Good day. Come, Peter. Come, Ivan. Come, Nikolai, Boris, Vladimir." The man left with his toads, hopping behind. For the next 3 years, the poor widow lived as best she could, selling milk and eggs and taking in washing for others. Again, she counted the days until at last 3 years had passed. With haste, she made her way down the road to the place where she was to meet the strange man. When she got there, the man was standing under a tree. "Where is my son, Peter?"
Yes,
"Where is your son, Peter?" "Well, look above you in the tree. Do you see 7 white doves? Well, one of them is Peter. Now you tell me which." This time the widow listened with all her heart. She looked into the tree. 7 identical white doves looked pleadingly down at her. Each seemed to say, "Please, choose me." Then one dove put its head under its wing. The widow took a quick breath. Oh, could that one be Peter? She dared to guess. "That's Peter, the one with its head under its wing." "Are you sure?" "Yes," though she really wasn't. "Well, lucky for you, you guessed correctly. But you got a signal. You would never have guessed without the signal. Well, you may have your son back, but mind you, I shall do everything in my power to take him from you, and my power is considerable." At that moment, the dove turned into a handsome young man who climbed down out of the tree. It was Peter, 6 years older. When they arrived home, Peter had so much to tell his mother that the words came tumbling out. "Oh, Mother, the man is a sorcerer, a wizard. He made me work for him. He whipped me. He fed me only enough to keep me alive. And, oh, all the other poor boys, Boris and Ivan and the others, they are his slaves for life." Peter had not learned to read or write. He had learned nothing but hard work and a few tricks from watching his master. One day, Peter had an idea. "Mother, we need money, right?" "Oh, we always need money." "Well, I think I can work out a trick which will bring us some money. I remember how the old wizard used to turn us into horses when he wanted heavy work done. Now, do we still have that old bridle in the barn?" Peter's mother got the bridle, and Peter explained. "Now, I will turn myself into a horse. Take me to the market and sell me for $400. I will be a splendid horse, and someone will surely buy me. But by no means sell the bridle. Keep the bridle, for it is the only thing which will return me to you. Don't sell the bridle." So Peter put on the bridle and said the words, "Shaman of the 7th seal, and Solomon's medallion, grant your servants one appeal and make of him a stallion." Suddenly, standing before the widow was a shiny black stallion. "Now, Mother, take me to the market and sell me. Keep the bridle, and when you return home, rub it and say, 'Return my son,' and I shall reappear as Peter." So the widow took the horse to market. Many people gathered around them to marvel at the beautiful, proud stallion. One man, whom the widow failed to recognize, came forward and bought the horse. She took his money and started to remove the bridle from the horse. "Wait a minute, how do you expect me to lead the horse without a bridle?" "Well, I only sold you the horse, not the bridle." "Well, how much for the bridle?" "It's not for sale."
"I said how much for the bridle?"
"I said it's not for sale." The widow started to pull the bridle from the horse when the man snatched the lead from her hand, jumped on the horse, and sped away. "My son! He took my son!" screamed the widow over and over. The people in the market thought she was crazy, and they backed away from her, leaving her all alone. All she could do was go home with the $400, and without Peter, she would never see him again. She had lost the bridle. On the road, the man raced the poor horse as fast and as hard as he could. "Thought you were clever, didn't you? Giving your stupid old mother a signal. I'll teach you. You're no better than all my other boys. You'll pay for acting out of turn. You'll pay, Peter. You'll never be a man again. The bridle will stay on you forever." 4 days of hard riding later, they reached the sorcerer's castle. The sorcerer tied the horse to a tree so tightly that he almost strangled him. And there he left him for 2 days, without food or water. On the 3rd day, the horse was nearly dead. He was struggling to breathe, and the pains of hunger shook his tired body. He heard a noise, and then a whisper. Peter, Peter, is it you? Yes. Ivan? Yes, it is Ivan. I've stolen away from the master. He is asleep in his study. He left the door unlocked, so I got out. You look terrible, poor Peter. We were all so happy when you got away on the day of the white doves. But now you are back. Oh, please, Ivan, help me. Bring me some food. I can't do that. I would get caught. But I will do one thing. I will set you free. Ivan untied the bridle from the tree, then slipped it loose from the horse's head. Go now, run. It's your only chance for freedom. Some hours later, the sorcerer took his whip and went out to beat the horse, but found him gone. With an angry snarl, the sorcerer turned himself into a wolf. I'll get him for good, and this time I'll eat him. He'll never escape again. Following the horse's scent, the wolf moved quietly and quickly through field and forest until he spotted the horse grazing in a meadow. He dashed forward. The horse saw him coming and galloped off. The chase was on, the wolf gaining steadily on the horse. Just as the wolf leaped up onto the horse, Peter turned himself into a sparrow and flew up into the sky, leaving the wolf clawing the air. The wolf then turned himself into an eagle and flew after the sparrow, while the sparrow darted right and left to avoid the terrible claws of the eagle. Then he spotted a tree under which sat a beautiful girl. He darted down and lit among the lower branches. The eagle perched upon one of the topmost branches. The sparrow hopped down upon the girl's hand. Help me, please. Oh, you darling little sparrow. Where did you come from? At that moment, the eagle turned himself into a young, handsome man and climbed down from the tree. Excuse me, lady, but you have my sparrow. Your sparrow? It just hopped onto my hand. I wasn't trying to take it. She didn't like the tone of the man's voice. All the same, you have my sparrow. I'd like it back, thank you. Just as she was about to hand the sparrow to the man, the sparrow turned into 100 grains of wheat and sifted between her fingers to fall upon the ground at her feet. When that happened, the man turned into a chicken and began pecking away at the grains of wheat. 1 grain of wheat remained in the girl's palm. It jumped and split and swelled like a huge piece of popping corn, and then turned into a large, ferocious cat which pounced upon the chicken, killing it immediately. There, exclaimed the cat. He is done for. He is gone for good. And the cat turned into Peter, proud and handsome. He explained to the beautiful girl all that had happened, how the sorcerer had imprisoned young boys and forced them to work for him. How good he felt. He had defeated the master at his own game. The beautiful girl explained that she was the lonely daughter of a wealthy duke, and that she was happy for the first time. Peter promised to return within a few days. But first he went to the sorcerer's castle and released all the boys. Then he went home to his mother. Some months later, Peter and the duke's daughter were married. He gave up his magic since he no longer needed it, and never again were poor young boys taken away as slaves, for Peter had killed the last evil sorcerer in the country.
Next on ITV, Paul Lally tells favorite folktales and legends on Teletales.
Let's go imagining together to a place so old it's always new. We'll tell a tale, my friends, to you, and share a smile before we're through. And share a smile before we're through. Bum 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 bum.
Ray and I have two stories for you today, and they both have to do with the same thing. Now see if you can figure it out. You're gonna get just what's coming to you. Oh, you're gonna get what you deserve. You figure it out? Well, both stories have to do with people and animals who did something wrong and got exactly what they deserved. And what happens to them is pretty funny. The first story is about a chicken. Well, it's sort of like a chicken. It's sort of a half chick.
Once upon a time, there was an old hen who lived in Spain. She had a large family of baby chicks. They were plump and fluffy and followed her around wherever she went. Then one day, the last of her eggs hatched, and she had one more chick to add to her big family. Only this chick was not at all like the others. He was only half a chick, as though he had been made out of a board. He only had one leg, one wing, and one eye. Mother Hen took one look at this new chick and shook her head. I shall have to call you Medio Polito, half chick. While all the other chicks stayed close to the Mother Hen and always did as they were told, Half Chick liked to hop off on his own. With only one leg, Half Chick moved about in a most unusual way. He would hop and then kick, hop and kick. His mother would have to call him often when he wandered off by himself. Why don't you behave like your brothers and sisters? Stay close by me where I can keep an eye on you, Medio Polito.
Because this world is new to me, and I am new to this world, and there's lots to see and do.
Well, all in due time, said Mother. But you must learn many things before you go out on your own. But nothing his mother said would convince Half Chick. He was willful and stubborn. And as he grew a little, he became a little more willful and stubborn. One day when he was 7 weeks old, Half Chick hop-kicked up to his mother, cocked his head, and looked at her with his one eye.
It's boring here. There's nothing to do. There's nothing to look at but corn. I was born for better things, more exciting things. I think I'll go to Madrid to see the king. In Madrid, I shall have a fine palace, and you can come there and visit me.
Oh, no, 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 you're too young. Wait until you're grown. Then we can go together to Madrid.
I cannot wait. I cannot stay another day in this dull, boring place.
Well, if you must go, promise you will be polite and kind to those you meet. Remember, the world is a big place, and you are very small. You'll need the kindness of others to survive. Well, off hopped Half Chick without ever listening to his mother. He was so eager to see the world, he did not care about kindness and politeness. Those were for others. Well, late that afternoon, as Half Chick crossed a field on his way to Madrid, he came to a stream. The stream was gurgling with a choking sound because weeds and plants were growing in a great tangle, and the water could not flow freely. Oh, please, Medio Polito, cried the water in the stream. Please clear away all these weeds so that I can flow.
What do you mean? I don't got time to waste here with you. You shouldn't bother busy travelers such as I. Can't you see I'm on my way to visit that king? Clear the weeds yourself.
And off he hopped. Later on, Half Chick came to a fire that some people had left by the roadside. It was burning very low and about to go out. Oh, please, Medio Polito, you can see that soon I shall burn out. Please bring me some twigs and dry leaves, or else I shall die.
Who cares? There shall be plenty of fires in Madrid. Why should I waste my time bringing you twigs and leaves? I'm off to see the king. Get your leaves and twigs yourself.
And off he hop-kicked. Well, farther down the road, Half Chick came upon a large tree. Up in the branches, the wind had been trapped, and it was moaning painfully. Oh, please, Medio Polito. I am caught in the branches of this tree. Please climb up. Release me, or I shall never be free.
Well, you shouldn't have gone up there in the first place. I'm not so stupid as to help a silly wind caught in a tree. I'm off to Madrid to see the king. I don't like wind anyway.
So off he hop-kicked to Madrid. When Half-Chick came close to the big city of Madrid, he was excited by all the large houses. The largest house had soldiers standing by the gate, and Half-Chick knew it must be the palace of the king. He hop-kicked straight for the palace. As he passed the kitchen window, the cook spotted Half-Chick and said, "The king has ordered chicken for dinner, and here's the very thing." The cook reached out of the window and grabbed Half-Chick. Without wasting a moment, the cook threw Half-Chick into a pot and poured water all over him. The water made Half-Chick's feathers stick to one side.
Oh, please, water, don't wet me so it feels so cold and uncomfortable.
You would not help me when I was choking in the stream, so why should I have pity on you now? You are getting just what you deserve. Then the cook hung the pot over the fire and put the lid on. It became hot inside the pot, and Half-Chick cried,
Oh, fire, don't burn so hot. Hey, have pity, don't you know it hurts?
Aha, Medio Polito. Don't you remember when I was dying by the road and you would not help me? You are getting just what you deserve. Later, the cook lifted the lid off the pot, and Half-Chick gave a mighty hop out of the pot, out of the window, into the open air. And there he was caught and taken up by the wind. The wind hurled him and twirled him until he could hardly breathe.
Wind, don't be so rough, please. Put me down, please. Have pity, put me down.
You had no pity for me when I was caught in the tree. Why should I spare you now? You're getting just what you deserve. And with that, the wind took Half-Chick to the top of the tallest tower in the town, and there he fastened him for good. And there he stands today on his one foot, his one wing drooping, and his one sad eye gazing down on all of Madrid.
If you went to Madrid today, you'd probably see Half-Chick standing up on his tower. Our second story is called The Squire's Bride.
There was once a rich squire who owned lots of land and had lots of money. There was only one thing he didn't have: a wife. The squire's neighbor, Bjorn, a poor man, had a beautiful daughter, Bridget, who worked in the hayfields. As she grew older, she grew more beautiful. And one day, the squire noticed her working in the hay. He said to himself,
Bjorn's daughter is quite a lovely lady. I shall take her for my wife.
He went over to where she was raking the hay and spoke to her.
Bridget, now that you're old enough to marry, I have decided to make you my wife.
Now, Bridget had never liked the squire, but she had always been polite, for her father owed the squire a lot of money. Thank you for the offer, Squire, but I think not today. Now, the squire was not used to being refused. He marched off to have a little talk with Bridget's father, Bjorn.
Now look here, Bjorn. For years, I have loaned you money to keep your farm going. I'm willing to forget your debt if you will tell Bridget to marry me.
Bjorn thought about this. He did owe quite a lot to the squire, more than he could ever repay. It would be wonderful to be out of debt. The squire added,
And not only will I forget what you owe me, I will give you 100 more acres to add to your farm, and when I die, Bridget will get all that I have.
Bjorn found this a most pleasant offer and promised to talk with his daughter that very evening. Oh, listen, Bridget, if you will only marry the squire, we will be set for the rest of our days. No debts, no worries. I don't care if he showers us with gold up to our ears. I'm not marrying the squire, Father. I can't stand him. Now let's just talk about something else. So try as he might, Bjorn could not convince Bridget to marry the squire. The next day, the squire visited Bjorn again.
I trust you talk some sense into your daughter.
Well, not exactly. She has a mind of her own, and she's not ready to marry. But I will keep working on her. I'm sure when the time is right, she'll see things our way.
Fine, I don't want to waste time. I want to marry right away, and I want to marry Bridget. Now, you either get her to agree, or I'll call in your debt tomorrow, and you'll owe me 2,000. If you can't pay, I'll take your farm and all your livestock.
Poor Bjorn. He almost wept at the thought of losing everything he had worked so hard to gain. He could do nothing against the squire. He finally took pencil and paper. Here, Squire, I shall sign a contract with you, giving you Bridget. How you get her to come to your house will be your problem, but by this contract, she will be rightfully yours. So Bjorn signed the paper, giving his daughter to the squire. The squire smiled and grunted.
Oh, don't worry about that. That which is rightfully mine I have always taken. I shall have no problem.
For the next 5 days, the squire's servants set about making his house ready for the big wedding. He invited people from miles around. It was to be the wedding of the century. When all was ready, the squire called for his young valet.
Now go straight to Bjorn's house and say, the squire has sent for that which is rightfully his. Bring her back here and bring her in the back, and take her up the back stairs to her bedroom, and see that the maids dress her in her gown and veil, and then bring her down the front hall stairs into the ballroom, where I'll be waiting with the preacher. Oh, yes, sir.
The valet ran off to Bjorn's farm, and when he found Bjorn, he announced,
I have come for that which the squire says is rightfully his.
Oh, she's out in the field working in the hay. Off ran the valet into the hayfield, where he found Bridget leaning on her rake.
I have come for that which the squire says is rightfully his.
Oh, good, said Bridget. I've been waiting for you. I guess the squire means the gray mare yonder. Father must have sold her to the good squire. Since the valet knew no better, he accepted Bridget's instructions without question and led the old gray mare away, trying to remember the rest of his instructions.
Oh, take her to the back stairs and up to the room. I'll take her to the back stairs and up to the room.
When the valet reached the squire's house, he called the servants to help him.
The squire says I'm to take her up the back stairs and to her room.
The servants looked puzzled, but didn't question the squire's words. Together, they managed to push the old mare up the stairs and into the bedroom. The upstairs maids were a bit shocked to receive a horse, but the valet reminded them,
the squire says to deck her in a gown and veil and bring her down to the ballroom.
With much pushing and shoving, the maids finally got the gown and veil on the horse. The valet ran to tell his squire that the mare was ready.
She is ready, sir. But are you sure you're doing the right? Don't question my word, boy. Just do as you're told. Now go now and fetch that which is rightfully mine and bring her down here for everyone to see. My lovely bride. Bring her down.
The valet ran upstairs and fetched the mare. There was a terrible clattering on the stairs, and when the valet threw open the ballroom doors, everyone burst out laughing. The squire felt such a fool that he never bothered Bridget again.
On ITV, Paul Lally tells favorite folktales and legends on Teletales.
Your education station, WSKG-TV, Binghamton.
The following is from the Agency for Instructional Technology, AIT.
Let's go imagining together to a place so old it's always new. We'll tell a tale, my friends, to you, and share a smile before we're through, and share a smile before we're through. Bum, 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 bum.
Have you ever been tricked? Well, magicians do it to us all the time. I mean, we'll see one thing and suddenly it's something else. It's always a lot of fun. But not all trickery is fun. Today's story is about a good and kindly ruler called a Caliph. And he had to use his powers of good to overcome the trickery of evil. It all began when a shrewd and clever beggar came to the Caliph with a chest of jewels. And inside the chest was a secret drawer. Caliph Shahsid was the ruler of Baghdad. He was loved by all, for he was honest and treated his people with fairness. One day, a peddler came before him with pearls and golden rings, goblets and combs. Caliph Shahsid bought several items as gifts for his family, and as the peddler was preparing to leave, the Caliph noticed a small drawer in the side of the treasure chest, like a secret compartment. What do you keep in that little side drawer?
Oh, that just holds a few odd items. They're not worth very much.
May I see them? The peddler opened the drawer and took out a scroll and a small snuff box.
I'm afraid it's only a little snuff box and a scroll with some foreign writing on it. It's worth almost nothing, so if you like, you may have it.
After the peddler had left, the Caliph called for his scholar, Selim, and asked him if he could read the writing. Selim studied the scroll closely.
It is in Latin, ancient Latin.
Oh, what does it say? Selim read the writing on the scroll aloud.
Thou who mayst find this, be pleased and beware. Whoever shall sniff the powder in the snuff box and at the same time pronounce the word mutabor can transform himself into any creature he likes and will understand the languages of all animals. If he wishes to resume his human form, he has only to repeat the word mutabor. However, he must be careful when in the form of any beast or bird not to laugh, or the magic word will be forgotten and he will remain that animal forever.
The Caliph was excited. The idea of turning himself into an animal was all he could think about that night. He could hardly wait for morning when he could go to some private place and try out this magic. Early the next day, the Caliph saw a stork standing just beyond the lake. Oh, to be a stork! To be able to fly above Baghdad! Oh, how wonderful! He dressed quickly, took the snuff box, and went around to the far side of the lake. The Caliph went behind a tree and took out the snuff box and removed the lid. He held a pinch of the powder under his nose, sniffed quickly, and whispered the word, mutabor. He felt it begin immediately. His neck began to grow. His legs grew also. His robes began a marvelous transformation to soft feathers and plumes. Out grew his nose and chin until he possessed quite a fine beak. He was a stork. As Caliph Stork stepped from behind the trees, he saw another stork which had been circling above come to land beside the first stork. The two storks exchanged greetings, and Caliph Stork was surprised at how clearly he understood their words.
Good morning, Lady Longlegs. You are out early this morning. Oh, yes, indeed, dear Chatterbill. I'm having breakfast. Would you care for a frog or two? Oh, no, thank you. I've eaten. I have just been flying over Baghdad, down by the marketplace. Oh, I enjoy watching humans. They are so unpredictable. In the marketplace, a woman was dancing a funny sort of dance that went like this.
And then he began imitating the dance, holding out his wings and swaying his long neck and lifting his feet one after the other in a ridiculous sort of manner.
Caliph Stork, who had been watching and listening, was amused by the funny movements of the bird and laughed. The two storks by the lake looked at him. Well, they had never heard a human voice come from a stork, and they were frightened away. Then Caliph Stork realized what he had done. Oh, dear. I was not supposed to laugh. Oh, well, probably the message on the scroll was wrong. I mean, all I have to say is He had forgotten the word mutabor. Poor Caliph Stork. Now he would have to remain a stork forever. How could he live on lizards and toads? The mere thought of it made him feel sick. He tried and tried to remember the magic word. Try as he might, it would not come to him. He uttered a low and sorrowful moan. He tried walking and found that keeping his balance on his new legs was awkward. Slowly he walked to a plum tree, and there he pecked at some fruit until he was able to get 1 or 2 plums into his beak. Well, after he had eaten, Caliph Stork decided he might as well try to enjoy flying. After all, if he had to be a stork, he might as well make the best of it. Up into the air he leaped, and he opened his large, heavy wings, but too late, down he flopped, nearly breaking his long neck. He looked about to see if anyone had been watching his clumsy error. Well, once again he leaped, and this time higher, and he brought his wings down more quickly this time. As his wings pushed down, up he rose. He quickly raised his wings and pushed down again, and he rose higher. For long hours, Caliph Stork soared above Baghdad, the city he loved, the city where so many people depended on him. And he felt sad that his people would never know him again. I mean, how could a stork walk into the marketplace and announce that he is the Caliph? When night fell, Caliph Stork could feel the winds above Baghdad beginning to calm. It was harder to fly. He realized he had to come to land. Not only that, he had to find a safe place to sleep. With a great noisy flop, Caliph Stork managed to bring himself down onto a treetop. He lowered his head onto his breast and drifted into an uneasy sleep. As dawn brought a pink glow to the sky, Caliph Stork awoke. He noticed other storks, many storks circling above the city. Up he flew to join the other storks. He neared 2 of the storks who were talking as they made their wide circles, gliding above the city. Caliph Stork listened to their conversation.
Oh, there will be a great parade beginning at the mosque and going all the way to the river, right through the marketplace. Oh, yes. The best place to see the parade will be from the palace roof. Such a pity about Caliph Shahsid to disappear so suddenly. Yes, and to think that in only 1 day Mirza would claim his throne.
Caliph Stork could not believe what he was hearing. His deadly enemy, Mirza, the magician, was stealing his throne and throwing a parade. Quickly, Caliph Stork flew off to the palace. He landed on the roof and waited. Before long, the parade entered the square in front of the palace, and there sat Mirza, the magician, in his sedan chair, carried by his big servants. Oh, how proud and vain he looked. Oh, the poor people of Baghdad. This man would treat them all like servants and slaves. Caliph Stork decided that it would only break his heart to stay here any longer. He wanted this to get away, far away, where he could forget Baghdad. Off he flew toward the mountains in the east. He flew on and on, his heart heavy, his wings beating a steady rhythm. After a long, long time, Caliph Stork arrived in the mountains of the east. He flew lower and lower until he spotted the remains of an old castle. He landed in the courtyard and looked around. I suppose this is as good a home as any, he thought. He walked about, peering into the empty rooms. Suddenly, he heard a sound. Someone was weeping. Yes, it was definitely someone crying softly in the room just ahead. He stepped forward and looked in. There he saw an owl crouched in the corner, a very dejected owl. He felt sorry for it and went over to see what he could do to make the owl feel better. When the owl looked up, it was startled. It spoke with a human voice. "Please, help me." "Well, I will if I possibly can. You speak with a human tongue. You are not a true owl." "No, I am Lusa. I am the daughter of the King of India. Because I would not marry Mirza, the magician, Mirza turned me into an owl. I have been here as his prisoner for almost a year. My wings are clipped." So it seems that Mirza has many great plans. Well, I am Caliph Shahsid of Baghdad, not a true stork. Somehow Mirza has tricked me into this body and has stolen my throne. He intends to rule Baghdad and have you there as his wife? Well, we must stop him. Well, he will be here tonight. He is coming one last time to try to make me marry him. If I refuse tonight, I will remain an owl forever and ever. I would not have to remain a stork if only I could remember a magic word which begins moo, moo. And for the life of me, I cannot remember the rest of the word. Well, perhaps I could get Mirza to say the word. I could find out what it is somehow. So the stork and the owl spent the late afternoon planning. As evening fell, they saw a figure on a horse approaching rapidly. It was the peddler. Caliph Stork recognized him right away. Well, that's the peddler who gave me the magic powder and the scroll. That dear stork is Mirza. He always comes dressed as a peddler. That way people don't suspect him. Now hide in the next room. I'll get the word from him. With a clatter, the magician, dressed as the peddler, came into the room. He strode proudly over to the owl. "Well, my dear Lusa, have you come to your senses? Are you ready to be queen of Baghdad? Or do you want to remain a stupid, blinking, worthless owl?" "Oh, Mirza, I have been so unhappy here. You give me so little hope for happiness." "I could give you everything, every happiness, if you were my wife. I am now ruler of Baghdad." But what has happened to Caliph Shahsid? Is he not the true ruler of Baghdad? Only if a stork can rule. A stork? Yes. But for him, there is no promise of returning to human form. Why? Because he has forgotten the word. He laughed and forgot the word. Oh, then it must be a long, complicated word. No, it is a simple one. Well, do I know it? No, it is ancient Latin. Besides, it would not help you. Only I can change you. Well, then tell me the word. It must be very mysterious. Well, the word is mutabor. Caliph Shahsid will never remember it. With a shout, Lusa said the word, "Mutabor!" In the next room, Caliph Shahsid heard it clearly. "Mutabor!" he shouted. In an instant, he was human again. He rushed into the chamber and placed the tip of his dagger to Mirza's throat. "Give me the word to change Lusa, or I shall cut off your head." The peddler dared not move. He scowled as if looks could kill, but he was powerless. Finally, he hissed, "Venus!" With that, the owl turned into the beautiful Lusa. Caliph Shahsid tied Mirza to his horse and led him to the city of Baghdad. This time the parade was quite different. The true Caliph led the evil magician through the city streets. Everyone was overjoyed to see their beloved Shahsid once more, and they hissed and then threw things at the magician. The magician was sealed in a tomb deep in the mountains. Caliph Shahsid married Lusa, and together they ruled Baghdad for many happy years.
Next on ITV, Paul Lally tells favorite folktales and legends on Teletales.
Your education station, WSKG-TV, Binghamton.
Let's Let's go imagining together to a place so old it's always new. We'll tell a tale, my friends, to you, and share a smile before we're through, and share a smile before we're through.
When Ray and I do a story for you, we work on it together. Now, the first thing we do is we'll read the story through many, many, many times. And then I'll go to my house for about 2 weeks, and I'll try to develop the voices for the characters. And Ray will go to her house and spend weeks and weeks working on the drawings. Sometimes I'll come up with a voice for the character just by reading the story. I won't even see a picture. Other times, Ray will send me a picture of the character, and I'll sort of get my idea from that. Today's story has many characters in it. One of the characters is a boy named Klaus. When I was thinking of a voice for it, I thought, Klaus would have a voice like this, or he'd have a voice like this. But then Ray sent me a drawing. And when I got that, I took one look at Klaus and decided, well, Klaus is going to have a voice like this because he was just a little boy. Ray, how do you get your ideas for your characters?
Well, I think that I do the way a lot of people do. When I hear a story or read a story, I get pictures in my mind, kind of like a movie. And so I draw what I see. Now, you said, you know, that you like to get my drawing first before you make your voice. Well, I like to do the same thing. I like to get your voice before I draw my picture. And that's what we're going to see now, because I did the picture of Klaus before you did your voice. But I didn't have a picture of the next two characters before you had to make the voice go with them. And so I'm going to turn it around. I'm going to make my picture go with your voice.
Good. Well, today's story is about this boy named Klaus and how he got off to kind of a hard start in this world. I mean, he didn't have a penny or a crumb of bread. Plus, he didn't even know how to get it. But Klaus had one thing, though. He had the courage to try.
Once there was a little boy named Klaus. He lived in a most unusual home. His mother was very lazy and had no desire to clean dishes or make the beds. If things were dirty, they stayed dirty. She would say, "Oh, what's the use of cleaning? Everything just gets dirty again." So when Klaus got dirty, his mother left him dirty. Klaus's father was just like Klaus's mother. He too was very lazy. He would not cut the grass or take out the garbage. He would say, "Oh, why cut the grass or take out the garbage? It just grows back, and if I take out the garbage tomorrow, there will be more garbage to take out." So when little Klaus went out to play, he often got lost in the grass, which was taller than he. Sometimes he was lost for days, for his parents were too lazy to look for him. Poor Klaus. Not only was he dirty and lost in the grass most of the time, he was hungry because his mother was too lazy to cook. She would always say, "Oh, why eat? You'll only be hungry in a few hours. Oh, just think about something else." Well, somehow, Klaus grew up to be a strong, healthy young man. His parents never changed. The house was still dirty, the yard was still hidden under garbage and weeds, and Klaus decided that he had had enough. He told his lazy parents that he was tired of being dirty and living in garbage, and he left. Now, Klaus didn't know how to do anything because his parents were too lazy to teach him how to do anything. But he knew he had to find a job and make money to support himself. He walked until he came to a large town. As he entered a busy street, he spotted a cafe with a sign in the window which read, "Dishwasher wanted." Klaus went in and talked to the restaurant's owner. He didn't dare tell the owner he'd never washed a dish, for that would certainly have kept him from getting the job. The restaurant owner liked Klaus's looks and decided to give him a chance. He gave Klaus a long white apron and led him to the kitchen. "The soap is under the sink and the drying towels are in the pantry," said the owner, and he left Klaus to his task. Klaus looked under the sink, and there he saw a large white bar of soap. He had never seen soap before, and he had no idea what to do with it. It did not taste as sweet as it smelled. It made little bubbles in his mouth, which popped and tingled. It was so slippery, it zipped from his hand. With his other hand, Klaus turned on the water. He held his hand in the water and felt it warm and nice. And then it felt warmer and warmer until it was hot. He quickly drew back his hand. Well, this isn't getting the dishes washed, is it? He said to himself. He reached for the top dish, but by now his hands were so soapy that the dish slipped away and crashed to the floor. The water in the sink began to overflow, and he stepped back right onto the slippery bar of soap, and not only did Klaus fall, he accidentally kicked the stack of dishes with his foot, and all went crashing to the floor. Such a racket! The restaurant owner rushed into the kitchen to find Klaus lying on the floor amid dozens of broken plates and saucers. "Oh, oh, oh!" was all he could say. "I'm sorry, I don't think this is the way to wash dishes." The owner regained his tongue. "It most certainly is not. You are fired. Get out of here." So poor Klaus left. He was so disgraced and ashamed. He was no dishwasher. Well, on he walked through the town until he saw a sign in the yard which read, "Gardener wanted." He went up to the door and knocked. When a friendly man came to the door, Klaus told him he would like to have the job. Well, he didn't dare tell the man he knew nothing about gardening. The gentleman liked Klaus's looks and hired him right away. He took Klaus to the tool shed and said, "The rake, the hoe, and the shovel are all here. I want you to clear a 10-foot patch by the front walk to make a flower bed." Klaus took the hoe, the rake, the shovel, and went to the front yard. He had no idea how to use any of them, so he was glad when the kind gentleman went back into the house. Well, now he could study the strange tools and figure out how each was to be used. He laid all three out upon the grass and then began pacing off the 10-foot patch where the garden should be. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As he was pacing, he accidentally stepped on the rake. Up flew the handle and wham! Klaus was knocked out cold. Well, there he lay unconscious when the gentleman came out to check on him. "Klaus, Klaus, wake up, boy! It's almost dark. You've not done a thing." Well, slowly Klaus came to. He didn't know he'd been out for hours. "Up, you lazy boy! You've wasted the afternoon. Now be off. I need a gardener who will work, not sleep on the job." What had happened? It seemed that gardening was dangerous sort of work, and definitely not for him. Klaus left the town and walked down a deserted country road. It was almost dark now, and he could not see very clearly. That is why he bumped into a little old lady who was sitting by the road. "Oh, excuse me, I didn't see you." "Oh, that's quite all right, young man. You didn't hurt me." Well, my name is Klaus, and I have had a terrible day. My head hurts, my back hurts, and I'm afraid I've been a total failure at finding a job." "Oh, are you looking for a job?" "Oh, yes. I want to work so badly, but I can't do anything. I mean, I don't know a single trade. I can't even wash dishes." "Well, never you mind. There are plenty of well-to-do people who can't do anything. Don't feel bad. You need someone to teach you, and I can tell you how to find someone." "Really?" "Oh, yes. It's quite simple. Now listen and do as I say. Down this road, you'll come to a house. The first house on the left. Now go to the door and knock. Whatever the people of the house say to you, just be kind and polite and say, 'Thank you very much.' Also, take this little stone, and when the people of the house go to sleep, put it in the ashes of the fireplace. Then you shall see what you shall see." Klaus took the little stone and thanked the little old lady. Then off he stepped to find the house on the left. Before long, he found it. He knocked on the door. A pleasant woman opened the door. "Hello, my name is Klaus, and I am looking for work." "I'm sorry, we don't take in strangers." "Well then, thank you very much." And with that, Klaus stepped around the woman and entered the house and sat down. The woman was confused. She wanted to tell the boy to leave, but he was so polite. "I'm terribly hungry. Do you have anything to eat?" "No, we don't feed strangers here." "Thank you very much. You're welcome." At that moment, the husband walked in.
Who's that?
I don't know. He's very polite, though.
Well, tell him to leave.
I did.
Now, look here, young fellow, you can't stay here.
Thank you so very much, replied Claus. The husband and the wife looked at each other, and then the wife whispered, he might be, you know, a little weak in the head. Well, maybe we should be kind and give him something to eat. I mean, he could sleep by the fire, and tomorrow we could ask about and find out where he belongs. I do believe he's not all there. So thinking Claus was a simpleton, the woman and her husband fed him and made him a sleeping place by the fire. When everyone had gone to bed, Claus dropped the little stone into the ashes of the fireplace. The next morning, the husband and wife came downstairs with their pretty daughter. It was chilly, for the fire was almost out. Hetty, go stir up the fire, said the woman to her daughter. It's cold in here. Hetty took the poker and stirred the ashes. As she opened her mouth to blow on the coals, she said, fiddy wah 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 blah blah fiddy wah. What did you say, dear? Fiddy wah wah wah. What nonsense? What are you trying to say, girl? I don't fiddy. Wow, mother, fiddy wah. Something has fiddy too. Wow, I can't fiddy. The poor girl, Hetty, she could say nothing but fiddy wow wow. Well, the mother was impatient. You're still half asleep. Now here, give me the poker. And she began stirring the ashes. And as she blew upon the coals, she said, fiddy wow wow. Oh, fiddy. What has fiddy to me? I must have wow wow. Hetty, fiddy come fiddy wow wow to me. Oh, fiddy. See, fiddy mother, I fiddy to you wow wow too, fiddy wow wow too. The father, hearing all this nonsense, came over to see what was the matter.
What are you talking about? Oh, fiddy dear, can't you wow wow if something has fiddy to us? Have wow on us, oh fiddy wow to us, fiddy I'll have foul on us to fiddy. Something is wrong with my wife and daughter. I must get the school teacher. He'll know what to do.
So the husband ran to get the school teacher. All the while, Claus pretended to sleep by the fireplace. Presently, the school teacher came in to have a look at the two women.
Oh, no wonder they are acting strange. It's freezing in here. They're just chattering from the cold.
He took the poker and began stirring the ashes. The mother tried to warn him.
Oh, please don't fiddy the wow wow fiddy wow. Oh, fiddy wow wow wow, don't fiddy to the fiddy wow.
But too late, the teacher started to blow the coals.
Oh, fiddy wow wow. Oh, dear fiddy. Oh, dear fiddy wow wow to me. Have fiddy to me wow wow. Look at...
The husband couldn't believe his ears and eyes. Here stood three sane people, dear to him, saying, fiddy wow wow. The world was coming to an end.
Oh, dear,
what can I do? Oh, what can I do? I would give anything if my wife and my daughter and the school teacher will return to normal. This is terrible.
Oh, please, fiddy,
begged the school teacher.
Can't you fiddy wow to see fiddy wow wow me to fiddy wow wow?
Claus pretended to wake up. What's happening here? Oh, my wife, my daughter, my friend have all lost their senses. An evil spell has been cast upon them. Do something. I'll give you anything. Only bring them back to normal. Claus reached into the ashes and found the little stone. He threw it out the window, and suddenly everyone was back to normal. Well, I have never had such an experience. I could not talk sensibly. How terrible, said the wife.
I thought I was crazy,
said the school teacher. Me too, said Hetty. Oh, thank you, young man. You saved us all from some evil spell. Thank you. Claus was praised all around. He was asked to stay on to protect the family from any further evil spells. He eventually married Hetty, who taught him to wash and mow and rake and hoe.
On ITV, Paul Lally tells favorite folktales and legends on Teletales.
Your education station, WSKG TV, Binghamton.
Let's go imagining together to a place so old it's always new. We'll tell a tale, my friends, to you, and share a smile before we're through, and share a smile before we're through. Bum, 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 bum.
Today's story comes from Hawaii. Now, Hawaii is part of the United States, and it's located here in the Pacific Ocean. A lot of people think that the state of Hawaii is just one island, but that's not true. The island called Hawaii is this island right here. It's also called the Big Island. Now, next to it here is Maui, and this is Molokai, and this is Oahu, and Kauai. Now, I've just named 5 islands here, but there are over 20 of them. And all together they make up the state of Hawaii. Now, if you lived in Hawaii, you could have cousins living on Molokai, you could have an uncle living on Oahu, and a long time ago, if you had to visit them, you would travel by canoe from island to island. Well, paddling a canoe is a lot of work, and it's a pretty slow way to travel. I mean, what if you could think of a faster way to go from island to island? Well, one boy did. His name was Paka'a. Paka'a sat in the bow of the big fishing canoe, watching the big fishermen dip and pull their paddles together. How strong their arms and shoulders were. He looked at his own skinny arms and sighed. Suddenly, one of the fishermen shouted to Paka'a, "Here, little one, take my paddle. See how well you can keep up with us." Paka'a had no choice but to try. When he put his paddle in, the force of the water threw him out of the canoe and into the ocean. He came up sputtering and heard the men hooting and laughing. "Now you know what real work is, Paka'a. If you're going to be a fisherman, you must learn to paddle." Back on shore, one of the fishermen said gently, "Here, Paka'a, take these fish home with you. You were a good swimmer today, and someday you will learn to paddle, too." At home, his mother smiled at him, always so proud of him. "These fish will make a fine meal," she said. But Paka'a didn't sit down to talk with her as he usually did. It was hot inside the house, so he took his sleeping mat and went outside to lie on the sand. An evening wind was stirring, and as he tried to spread his sleeping mat on the sand, the wind caught it and slapped Paka'a down onto the sand. Well, at first he was angry, but then he realized something most wonderful. The force of the wind could be his to use. He laughed, he danced. He held up his mat like a banner, and the wind caught it and carried Paka'a across the sand. If he were in a canoe, the same wind could blow him across the water. Early the next morning, he set out for the hollow grove. There he found old Hinano, the weaver. He brought her leaves and watched how she wove them together. Soon he learned to weave, and one day made a large mat bigger than a sleeping mat and shaped like a triangle. Then he went to his uncle, who had a small canoe which he didn't use anymore. It was the size Paka'a could handle by himself, which he set about learning to do. Finally, he could paddle it properly, without splashing. Several days later, far out from shore, the fishermen in the fishing canoe noticed a small canoe approaching them. "It's little Paka'a. Aloha! What brings you out so far?" One of them saw his mat. "Look at that, will you? Paka'a has come to fish with a sleeping mat." "Not so," said Paka'a. "I've come to race you home." The fisherman laughed. "Paddle against us? You must be joking." "I am serious. You will see." "Well, then what's the reason for the sleeping mat?" "Is Paka'a going to sleep and dream that he's reached the shore?" The men laughed again. Paka'a didn't reply, but started arranging his canoe for the race. With 2 long poles, he set up the mat and lashed it to the canoe with olona cord. The men in the big canoe made more jokes as they watched him, but they were curious just the same. Now it was time to head for home. "Ready, Paka'a?" shouted the men in the fishing canoe. "Ready!" shouted Paka'a as he put his paddle in the water behind him, placing it against the side of the canoe. "You can't paddle like that!" shouted one man. "I don't have to paddle. I'm just going to steer."
Well, good luck to you, little Paka'a, shouted the men, and they gave a mighty push with their paddles, leaving Paka'a there. But a moment later, the men in the big canoe were astonished to see Paka'a's little canoe with its mat bypass them, then circle around them, and then go on to shore while they were left behind, paddling with all their might. When Paka'a reached shore, he was greeted by his mother and uncle and others who had gathered to stare and wonder at his invention. That evening, his mother said to him, "This is a special day, for now I know that you, my own son, are the one to receive a gift I have long kept." She brought forth a calabash, a bowl made from a gourd. "This has always been in our family, to be saved for that one of us who would show a special need of it. Today I know that one is you. In your hands, this calabash, which contains all the great winds, will give you a special power to call forth storms or gentle breezes or winds to make a mighty wave upon the sea. Use it only for special need, and use it very wisely." For many months and years, Paka'a studied the winds. Paka'a grew to be a young man, and stories about his wonderful canoe spread through all the islands. One day he was asked to come before the king. The day Paka'a came before Keawenui, the king of Hawaii, was the most exciting in Paka'a's life. "I understand you know more about the island winds than anyone in my kingdom, and can make canoes which are fast and smooth. Is this true?" "Yes, your highness. I have studied the weather, the stars, the ocean currents, and I know where the winds will come and go." The king asked to set sail with Paka'a the very next morning. Paka'a checked out his canoe with the greatest care, and then, for the first time, took out his calabash. He chanted, "Blow, sweet, fair wind, till we come safely home." And then he took Keawenui on a long, glorious sail among all the beautiful islands of Hawaii. When they returned, Keawenui asked Paka'a to become one of his advisors. Paka'a served his king eagerly and well, and sailed with him wherever he wished to go. Two of the other advisors noticed a special friendship grow between the two men, and they became jealous. They were even more jealous when the king made Paka'a his first chief, the backbone of the king, as it was called by the Hawaiians. One night they plotted to get rid of Paka'a. They went to the king and told him that Paka'a had been bragging all over the island about how important he was and how he planned to persuade the king to give him lots of wealth and property. They told the king that Paka'a wanted power so that he could tell others what to do. They said he even bragged to friends that he even told the king what to do. The king listened and grew worried. Perhaps he had given too much attention to his new advisor, Paka'a. After all, he hadn't really known the young man nearly as long as he had known his older advisors. After several days, the king made his decision. He called for Paka'a. When Paka'a came to him, he turned away so Paka'a could not see how terribly disappointed he really was. He spoke softly. "My son, I have heard that you have taken advantage of your position as my advisor, that you have tried to gain for yourself and thought more about your own fortunes than mine. Can this be true?" Paka'a was stunned. Who could have told the king such things? His eyes filled with tears of hurt. He could not speak to defend himself. He turned and walked away. Paka'a returned to Kauai full of shame and embarrassment. He stayed away from his friends and relatives, and he lived alone near the Hala Grove. After a time, he met a shy and beautiful young woman who he married. They had a son, Kuapaka, and the boy grew up straight and honest and loved the wind like his father. One day, a man came from Hawaii, the big island. He didn't recognize Paka'a. I have been sent by the king to find Paka'a. Do you know where I can find him? Paka'a almost spoke up and told him, but he felt his father's hand squeeze his shoulder, so he kept quiet. Paka'a asked, "Why does the king want to see him?" Well, he is very unhappy with his advisors and longs for his faithful servant who served him better than the rest. He realizes now that Paka'a was the most loyal advisor he ever had, and he wants him to come back. Paka'a did not answer right away. And then he said, "I know Paka'a very well. I know he is not yet ready to return to the king. This boy here knows Paka'a too. He will return with you to the Big Island with a special message from him." That night, Paka'a said to his son, "When you meet the king, say this: Paka'a still loves his master, Keavinui. If Keavinui wants Paka'a to come back, he must come and talk with Paka'a where he lives, here on Kauai. He must sail north of Maui, north of Molokai, north of Oahu. Though it is the longest way, it will be the safest." A few days later, Paka'a arrived with a messenger at the Big Island of Hawaii and carefully delivered his message. The king was delighted. "Go back and tell Paka'a that I will leave as soon as we can outfit my canoes." Paka'a returned to his father again and told him what he had heard. "As I was leaving, Father, the advisors were arguing about the route to take. They didn't like the idea of a longer northern route. They thought it would take too much time." "I'm not surprised," said Paka'a, "but the king must make the decision. If he trusts my judgment and believes in my loyalty, he will follow my directions." Unfortunately, the king agreed with his advisors, and they took the shorter route. 3 days later, a message came from Oahu. The king's canoes were seen passing to the south. Paka'a knew then for certain what he must do. He took out his calabash of the winds, and for the first time, he did not call forth a fair wind. "Join and cause a whirlwind. Run across the ocean. Call the winds of La'a, roaring in the mountains, beating in the lowlands. Grow, whirlwind, grow. The storm shall come. Sink the king's canoes, but do not harm the king." On the ocean, the air grew hot and still. The shorebirds which had followed the king's canoes suddenly flew away. "Something is wrong," said the king. "It is too quiet." Then the wind was upon them, coming from all directions. Waves swamped the canoes, turning them upside down, tearing the paddles from the men. Everybody was thrown into the dark, angry water, swallowed up in a black whirlpool. On Kauai, Paka'a chanted, "Gently, gently comes the wind, the rain. The king shivers, for he is wet. O Keavinui, come ashore." When the winds calmed, the king and a few survivors managed to right one canoe and make their way slowly to shore. Paka'a was there to greet Keavinui. He embraced his king. "O Keavinui, the great winds have done this for you, to release you, to free you from those who only thought to get rid of me and gain for themselves. You listened only to them." "You are right, Paka'a. I did you wrong. You were ever true to me, and I realize now that you were indeed my backbone." The king asked Paka'a to return to Hawaii with him. Together, the king and Paka'a, with his wife and son, set sail in Paka'a's canoe and returned to the Big Island. Paka'a's canoe sailed like a gull.
Next on ITV, Paul Lally tells favorite folktales and legends on Teletales.
Your education station, WSKG-TV, Binghamton.
Let's Let's go imagining together to a place so old it's always new. We'll tell a tale, my friends, to you, and share a smile before we're through, and share a smile before we're through. Bum 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 bum.
When you do something nice for somebody, like a person or a pet, you're telling them that you like them or that you love them. Now, acts of kindness like that are always repaid. I mean, it might take a while, it might be sort of different when it comes back to you, but it's always repaid. Look at that little doggy there. Isn't he a cute pooch? I mean, I'd like to do something nice for him, wouldn't you? Well, he's in today's story. It's called The Charmed Ring.
Once a merchant gave his son 300 gold pieces and told him to go out into the world and make a life for himself. "Thank you, father," said the young man. "I shall repay you and someday make you proud that I am your son." With that, he left his father and set off down the long, long road. He had not gone far when he came upon some men who were quarreling over a dog. One of the men wanted to kill the dog. "Wait, please," interrupted the young man. "I will give you 100 gold pieces for the dog." He could not let them kill the poor dog. The older men were astonished. 100 gold pieces! That was far more than the dog was worth, and they gladly accepted the offer. So off he went with the dog, who was quite relieved. "Thank you, master, for saving my life. I shall repay you, and someday make you proud to have me for your servant." Soon the young man and dog came upon some women who were arguing over a cat. One woman claimed that the cat had never caught a rat. "I'll see that lazy good-for-nothing dead this day." "Wait, please. I will give you 100 gold pieces for the cat." He could not let them kill the poor cat. 100 gold pieces for a cat? You must be crazy. Here, take the beast. We'll thank you for the gold. So now the young man had a cat and a dog and 100 gold pieces remaining. The much relieved cat said to the young man, "Thank you for saving my life. I will repay you and someday make you proud to have me as your servant." The young man, the dog, and the cat traveled down the road until they came upon some men who were tormenting a small snake. One was saying, "Snakes are the curse of the earth. All should be killed at sight." "Wait, please. Do not kill the snake. I will give you 100 gold pieces for it." 100 gold pieces for a worthless, slimy snake? "Yes, 100 gold pieces." "It's yours." The men laughed to think that anyone would give anything for the life of a snake. "Thank you," said the snake as it coiled around the young man's neck. With no gold pieces left, the young man could only turn around and go home to his father. "You fool, you idiot! You have squandered the money I gave you on useless animals. Since you like animals so much, go sleep in the barn. I don't want you in my house." That night, the young man slept in the barn, the dog by his right hand, the cat by his left, and the snake lying across his chest. In the dark, the snake whispered to the young man, "I must know your name." "My name is Sindhu." "Very well, Sindhu. I will tell you this. I am no ordinary snake. I am a snake prince. Tonight, as you sleep, I shall shed my skin. When you awake in the morning, I shall be gone, but my old skin will be here on your chest. When you touch it, it will become a gold ring, a charmed ring, which will grant your every wish. Be careful, Sindhu, to keep it with you always. Never let it fall into the hands of evil ones, for it will grant evil wishes, as well as good ones. Keep the dog and the cat with you always. You will need them someday." "I understand." Sindhu promised to be careful. Then they both fell asleep. When Sindhu awoke in the morning, there was a delicate, papery skin where the snake had been. As he touched it, there was a bright flash, and suddenly there appeared a golden ring where the skin had been, just as the snake had promised. Sindhu woke the dog and the cat. "Our fortune is too good to be true." He showed them the ring and told them the snake story. Off they set to find the perfect place for Sindhu's first wish. After some time, they came to a green knoll beside which ran a singing brook. "This is the perfect spot," said Sindhu. "I wish to have my mansion beside this brook." No sooner had he spoken and touched the ring than there appeared a stately mansion with majestic trees and lovely flowers all around it. Sindhu, the dog, and the cat rushed inside. It was fine enough for a king, so elegant were the furnishings. "Now for my second wish," said Sindhu. "I wish there to be a beautiful maiden to share my palace." As he touched the ring, a beautiful lady appeared before his eyes, looking exactly as he had imagined she should be. Her name was Sarika. She looked at Sindhu and smiled. He knew that she was just as gentle and kind as he, and on her finger he placed the ring. "With this ring I brought you forth. My fondest dreams have been fulfilled, and now I want you to have this charmed ring so that anything you may desire will be yours." So for many long days, Sindhu and Sarika lived together in complete happiness. The dog and the cat were as contented as two animals could ever be. Each morning, Sarika would comb her hair by the window as she dressed for the day ahead. One morning, two of her beautiful, silky blonde hairs drifted from the comb out of the window and fell into the singing brook where a floating leaf carried them away. Now, a mile or two downstream on the same brook, there lived a witch, and that witch just happened to be seated beside the brook as the leaf with the golden hair floated past. The witch reached out and plucked the hair from the brook. "Aha! This golden hair comes from a truly fine lady. Just the kind of fine lady I have in mind for a wife for my son." The witch's son was an ogre with a face as ugly as his nasty temper. The witch thought to herself, "I know where this golden hair came from, and I know how to find the maiden." With that, she changed herself into a bird and flew off, following the singing brook. Before long, she came to Sindhu and Sarika's mansion. She flew up to Sarika's window and alighted on the sill. "Good morning, beautiful lady," the witch said in her little bird voice. "Good morning, friend," said Sarika. "What brings a bird to my chambers?" "I fear I am lost. My poor family is waiting for me. I must get home soon. Is there any way you could help me?" Sarika thought of the ring. It was lying on her dressing table. "Yes, I can send you home with my charmed ring. It can do anything." As she reached for the ring, the bird rushed past her hand, grabbed the ring in its beak, and flew away. Moments later, the witch was standing once again beside the brook with a ring in her teeth. She took it in her hand and rubbed it, saying, "I will have mansion and maiden for my son, mansion and maiden for my son." At that instant, the mansion and Sarika appeared, and this time an iron fence surrounded everything. Poor Sarika was now a prisoner of the witch. "Forgive me, Sindhu, for I did a foolish thing. I didn't know the bird was a witch. I only wanted to help, and now I have lost the ring, and you have lost everything." Which Sindhu, at that very moment, had discovered. One moment, he and his friends had been walking through the hall of his mansion, and then there they were, standing on the empty knoll. "What has happened? Oh, where is my house, my wife? My Sarika? I can't live without my Sarika." The cat spoke solemnly. "I fear the work of evil here. A witch, an ogre, a ghoul, something has gotten the ring and Sarika as well." The witch, I know the one it's got to be. The one that's been looking for a bride for her ugly son." And then he promised, "Cat and I will bring Sarika back to you, Sindhu." The cat and the dog left Sindhu and hurried off down the brook. Presently, they came to the iron fence surrounding Sindhu's mansion. They could see Sarika weeping by the window. They wondered how they would get into her because they found that the fence had grill work at the bottom so fine that even the skinny cat couldn't get through. Then they heard a sound. It was music, very faint at first, but gradually growing louder. And then they could see, coming along just inside the fence, a wedding parade of mice. The mice did not notice the cat and dog standing by the fence as they marched nearer and nearer. The cat quickly reached her skinny paw through the fence and caught the mouse groom by the tail. "Are you not the mouse who used to live in my mistress's pantry? And did I not let you into the cookie jar many times?" "Yes," stuttered the mouse. "We need your help," said the dog. "But this is my wedding day." "I can see it is, but this matter is urgent. Inside the mansion there is a witch who's stolen a magic ring. She uses it to do terrible things. We must get back the ring unnoticed. Surely there are among you some few that are brave enough to go and take the ring from the witch's finger." The mouse bride spoke. "I owe you a favor for letting my sweetheart live to marry me. My brother here has seen the witch. He is brave and strong." The bride's brother stepped forward, and soon 3 others, including the groom's brother, the best mouse, joined him. "We are the fearless 4, and we will get the ring from the witch." And off they went. The mice found the witch asleep in Sindhu's bed. Her hands were folded on her chest. She was snoring deeply. The first mouse said, "We will surely wake her if we try to take the ring off her finger. There's no easy way we can get at it." "Wait a minute," cried the second mouse. "We could wish the old witch away if we could only touch the ring." "I have a better idea," said the third mouse. "Let's not wish her away. Let's wish her into cheese." "Oh, good idea," said the fourth. "Now, who's going to climb up there and touch the ring?" Silence. Not one of the brave mice really wanted that job. "Okay, we must draw tails." This was the mice's way to settle difficult arguments. The 4 of them backed up into a circle and tied their tails together. Then each one reached behind and took the tip of the tail. The one who took his own tail was the loser and would have to do the job. The first mouse took the tail of the second mouse, and the third mouse knew the moment he touched it that he had taken his own tail. So it was the task of the third mouse to climb up and touch the ring. Slowly and very, very cautiously, he began the dangerous climb up the bedclothes. Gradually, he moved up until he was on the witch's pillow. There was a sudden snort, and the witch rolled over, nearly crushing the mouse. Now her hand was up on the pillow beside her nose, and there it was, the ring. The mouse touched it and said, "If this is the charmed ring, let the witch be cheese." Flash and wham! The mouse was suddenly standing next to the biggest piece of cheese he had ever seen, and around his tail was the ring, the charmed ring. "Hooray, hooray!" shouted the others. "You are our hero!" And they carried the third mouse on their shoulders out to greet the cat and the dog. The third mouse presented the cat with the gold ring. "Here, O cat, is the charmed ring. You need not fear the witch, for she is now cheese and a wonderful dinner for our wedding party." The cat and the dog together touched the ring and made this wish. "Let all be returned to Sindhu, and may happiness be with him and Sarika for all time to come." With that, everything became as it once had been. Sindhu and Sarika were reunited. The flowers bloomed, the brook sang, and the cat and the dog lay down together for a well-deserved nap.
WSKG TV, Binghamton. WSKG, viewer-supported public TV, now ends another day of the best in cultural, educational, and entertainment programming. WSKG welcomes your comments and suggestions on our reaction line at 607-729-0200. Or if you prefer, you can send your comments to WSKG, P.O. Box 3000, Binghamton, New York, 13902. Join us again tomorrow on WSKG TV Binghamton.